Welcome to the 5-Pack, where we talk about the 5 things that matter, 5 things that will matter, and a daily pack rip. Here is your host, Kyle Elfrink.
And for the final time this week, we welcome you into the 5-Pack here at the Better Sports Network each and every day from 12 to 1 o'clock, Monday through Friday. We kind of give you the lay of the land. We tell you what you might have missed the night before, what you need to care about going into the night to come. And yes, the pack rip to conclude the show. Today, I will be pulling the scissors out for the pack rip. Not because I have to cut the pack, although I guess I do have to kind of cut the pack. Today, we will be pulling the scissors out to separate our rack pack of 88 Donruss. They hung them like this. You'd have to cut each pack. 45 cards. And this one actually showed up. Check this out. I always kind of wonder about the price tag. So what we have here, 1988 Donruss, all that fun stuff, crappy card, all that overproduced like crazy. But this particular pack has maintained the price tag. Oh, yeah. $1.27. $1.25 for 45 cards. Yes, kids. That used to be how we did it back in the day. Of course, you pay $1.25. I don't know if you added up all the 45 cards, if they'd even be worth $1.25. Anyway, we'll have some fun with 88 Donruss coming up later in the show. It's going to be a fun show overall. I'm really excited about all the video and the highlights and all the good stuff. So much to get to. I want to thank our producer, Heather Klein. I want to thank you for tuning in. Do want to remind you that today, following the show, Heather, our producer, will reach out to one of you who have qualified to win this 1992 Michael Jordan Upper Deck basketball card. It's actually worth something. It's worth more than $1.25. And we will be sending that to a lucky person out there. Now, you can still qualify if you want to retweet our pack rip that is coming up later in the show. You retweet that. That will qualify you. Then we'll do a random drawing, and somebody will be getting this here basketball card. 1992. It's 31 years old, that card. And it may be yours by next week or so. Okay, let's get things rolling with 5 things that do indeed matter. And yesterday, I told you the NFL schedule was going to be released. And what do you know what happened? Oh, yes, it happened. 8 o'clock Eastern last night. The schedule was released. It is out. Now, I could sit here and say, oh, this game's cool, that game's cool. I'm not going to do that. What I will point out is probably the number one thing I care about is week one. Because I care about that because this will be the next game. I don't have to worry about any other game. This is the next game for all these teams. And it is a fact of life that when you start a season, it's those first games you get excited about. So there you go. We told you about the Lions and the Chiefs on Thursday night. Sunday night, Cowboys, Giants. My God, again, every year with this game on Sunday Night Football. Every stinking year. I'm not excited about that game at all. Bills, Jets will be fun. I am surprised that the NFL threw that game into week one. I get it. Aaron Rodgers, we knew either Sunday night or Monday night, his debut with the Jets was going to be the game. I didn't suspect it would be a game of the magnitude of Bills, Jets, especially on Monday night. That is more of a Sunday night game. I would say the NFL has done a big favor for ESPN and ABC. Other games of note there, the Eagles on the road at New England. That'll kind of be fun. That 49ers-Steelers game should be fairly entertaining. And I like that Jags-Colts game. I like that one because the Colts probably going to have Anthony Richardson. Well, maybe not. It may be Gardner Minshew, but they could have Richardson under center. And the Jaguars are now the toast of the AFC South. We'll see if they can go on the road in week one, taking on a rival in the Colts and get that victory. So a lot of good games. That's week one. Now, the other thing that we get with this schedule out is we can start to look at difficult schedules. And this is always kind of preordained with the way the NFL sets up matchups and divisions playing divisions. But let's pull up the graphic here because you're going to see something that happens every single year with the NFL schedule when you talk about, who has the toughest schedule? Well, look at the first, let us see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The first 8 teams that have the 8 most difficult schedules for 2023, they are all from either the AFC East or NFC East. Why is that? Well, it's pretty damn simple. because those divisions are good and competitive. So this happens every year. To me, like you can say, oh, Philadelphia has the most difficult schedule. I would say no to that. I would say the most difficult schedule is Washington because they are the worst team in these two divisions, and they have to play the best opponents as the worst team. So I would argue that the Commanders have the most difficult schedule. Now, I don't know if you can see it. You can see the New Orleans Saints. I know you can see that. Their difficulty is 427. Below the Saints, though, there it is. The Atlanta Falcons. Thank you, Heather. Great work there. Atlanta's at an opponent's winning percentage of 417. Now, I'm not going to tell you I told you so, but I told you so. I told you so back in January when I said my team to make the postseason that nobody's talking about is Atlanta. And one of the absolute reasons that I said that was because, quite simply, they've got talent and they're going to have an easy schedule in the NFC South crap. So there it is, Atlanta 417. Another reason why 3 months ago I was telling you the Falcons are going to make the playoffs. And I'm not changing that. I'm not. Now, God love the NFL. They have made an event out of this schedule release. Here we are leading off the show. I mean, we got the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs, baseball, this stuff. And here I am talking about the NFL schedule. So you've won, Roger Goodell. You truly have. Somebody else who won, and I know a lot of you have seen this. For those who haven't, you need to see this, okay? I am not on Twitter. Maybe some of you are not on Twitter. If you're not on Twitter, you may have missed this. So I am doing this as a service to those of you who are brilliant like myself and you're not on Twitter, okay? But Twitter on occasion does win. For instance, the Tennessee Titans via Twitter, and this is about 2 minutes long, but it's well worth your time. The Tennessee Titans celebrated the unveiling of the 2023 schedule by heading out to downtown Nashville, Party Central, to Broadway. That's where all the bachelorette parties take place. That's where all the bars are, the music, all that good stuff in Nashville. And what they did is, well, you'll see it right here, but what they did is quite simply grab the passersby, the people who probably been drinking for like 5 hours, maybe not even drinking. I don't know from watching this video. But what they did is said, okay, here's who the Titans are playing. Do you know who this team is? And here were the results via the Titans Twitter feed.
What the is that? St. Louis Rams.
Oh. Lightning McQueen. No. Oh, that's just the football logo. The Boston Bobcats. No idea.
Cowboys. Yeah. Baltimore Orioles. This one is the Red Stallions.
49 to 69ers. 49er Cowboys.
No. Stars. It's a Pirates from the islands of the Caribbean.
Chester Cheeto. Tigers. North Carolina Tigers.
Texas. That's the Cowboys. Texas. Got that. Yeah.
Atlanta. That's it. Florida Dolphins.
Oh, Texans. Eagles. From Pittsburgh. Who's that? Bulls? Who? Patriots? That's the Patriots logo. That actually does not exist. That is Nashville, Tennessee.
Tennessee Titans.
Tennessee Titans.
Woo! Tennessee Titans.
Wait, good job. Yeah.
Awesome. Congrats, City of Nashville, although probably most of those people aren't even from Nashville. Anyway, there it is. Kudos to the Titans Twitter feed. I don't know if many of those mascots were known. I was talking to Heather, our producer, before the show, and we like to all sit here and go, oh my God, how dumb these people are. Oh my God, don't they? Let it be a reminder dear sports fan, dear sports maniac, let it be a reminder, not everybody lives and dies with the NFL. Okay. We all kind of get in our silo thinking it's that way, but it's not really the case. Dirty little secret about sports. Not everybody in the world cares about sports, nor even the NFL, believe it or not. Okay, let's move to our second sports item that matters today. It's the Carolina Hurricanes. Oh, yes, the Carolina Hurricanes. You had probably believed we'd forgotten about the Carolina Hurricanes. Admittedly, and I said this earlier in the week, we don't talk about the Hurricanes. We don't talk about their series against the Islanders. We barely talked about their series here against the New Jersey Devils. But let's talk about the Carolina Hurricanes today. For instance, let's take a look at them winning in overtime to take the series against the Devils last night.
A 2-2 game, overtime, game 5. Josh Lowe left point. Back out it comes. Half minute to go on the penalty. Here's Kotkaniemi with a shot. Score!
Jasper Fast with the OT winner, 3-2 final, and the Hurricanes take the series 4-1. Check this out. We may not be talking about the Hurricanes, but if you head to Vegas right now, or even if you want to sit on your butt and go to DraftKings.com right now or any other sportsbook, guess who the favorites are to lift Lord Stanley's Cup? It's the Hurricanes. They're the favorite, plus 235. Now, part of that is they are the only team that has clinched their way into the conference finals. But they're ahead of Edmonton, ahead of Dallas, ahead of Florida. They're your favorite right now. They're the current favorite. They're 8-3 in the playoffs. Here's the thing with Carolina. Not a single player. This is for the year, the 82-game season. Not a single Hurricanes player averaged even a point per game this year. No player had more than 43 assists in an 82-game season. No player. No player had more than 36 goals. Now, there might be a lot of teams in the NHL who can say that. Yeah, we didn't have anybody average a point per game, 43 assists, 36 goals. They finished second in the entire NHL. They are a true team in every definition of that word. Right now through the playoffs, 11 games, they have 11 players with 6 or more points. So it is spread out everywhere for Carolina. So congrats to them. They knock off the New Jersey Devils. They will be advancing. And I will point this out. We do get to see more of the quite epic post-game ritual in Carolina. When the Hurricanes win in front of the home fans, they get to do this like they did last night. I like it. I like it. The mid-rank celebration. Sign me up for that. Quite simply gets you fired up. Who would have thunk that clapping would get you fired up? But it works. It works very well. So maybe we'll get to see more of that in the coming weeks. Let's go to item number 3 of what matters. It's actually on the other side of what we saw last night in Carolina. And it actually happened in Phoenix last night too. So we'll put these two together. We constantly hear about these success stories for when teams or when players go for it. Oh, just look at the risk they made. And look, they came through. What a brilliant decision. I give you the other side of that storyline today. The New Jersey Devils and the Phoenix Suns, both teams lost last night. Both teams are now donezo for the season. And both teams are examples of not to succeeding when you go for it. New Jersey, Trade deadline. They had Timo Meier. Was killing it with San Jose. He came to New Jersey and did nothing. Phoenix Suns. They got upended in front of the home fans last night by Utah. Their season's over. Kevin Durant was the big acquisition. Suns season over. Now, these might have been the two biggest moves at the trade deadline. Timo Meier going from San Jose to New Jersey, Durant from Brooklyn to Phoenix. Here are the results. Timo Meier, 14 points in 21 games. He had 4 points in 11 playoff games. Kevin Durant played 8 regular season games, and the Suns got knocked out in the playoffs in round 2. Durant, by the way, is going to be, let me make sure I get this right, 35 years old. I think in like August, 35 years old. He still has 3 years and $150 million on his deal. Okay, whatever. Kevin Durant's good when he's out there. Here's the problem. He's never out there. Since injuring his Achilles in the 2019 playoffs, here are the number of regular season games that Kevin Durant has played. 0, 32, 55, and 47. Does that sound like $15 million a year? He's going to make like $1.5 million for every game he plays. Maybe not that crazy. Gonna make a lot of money though. Just doesn't play. Suns might have missed their window, by the way. They may just buy out Chris Paul. Probably going to trade DeAndre Ayton. There's rumors they may fire Monty Williams. They got issues there with the cap. As for New Jersey, Timo Meier, they gave up 4 players and a draft pick for Timo Meier. He's a restricted free agent this year. So it didn't work. It doesn't always work when you go all in. And let me say this too. I applaud teams for doing it. I have said for years now, and I would tell the Suns this and the Devils this, when you have a chance, you go for it. You do. Because championships, as they always say, flags fly forever. You go for it. So although it didn't work, I don't blame these teams for going for it. That's what the goal is, to win. They thought they had an opportunity. They went for it. So kudos to them. Didn't work out, but that doesn't mean you don't do it. Still think it's a good idea to go for it. Just didn't work out. Let's go to our fourth item of what matters to me, to you, to the sports fan here today. Let's get a little baseball. We told you about that big series last night, first of 4 between Tampa Bay and New York. The story of Thursday night was that in the Rays' 8-2 victory, a guy by the name of Josh Lowe continued his breakout season.
Is loaded for Josh Lowe.
All right, see, the Rays can finally get the hit to break.
Is loaded for Josh Lowe.
All right, see, the Rays can finally get the hit to break the game open.
There's a shot back into right center field. Pretty well tagged, and that baby's going to be off the wall. 1 runner's in. Here comes another man. The throw to the plate. That's a double, clearing the bases. An 0-1 pitch, and Josh Lowe delivers.
There's Josh Lowe.
There's a high shot back into deep right center field. That baby is going to go over the bullpen, up into the stands. What a blast off the bat of Josh Lowe. His 8th home run of the year. A 2-run shot, and the Rays lead 7-0.
Rays Television providing the audio. I think a lot of that video was provided by the Yes Network. Josh Lowe, 5 RBIs last night. Tampa wins at 8-2. Check this out. Josh Lowe, for those who don't know, has pretty well been hitting 7th or 8th all year long for the Rays. He now has 25 RBIs as a 7th or 8th hitter. That's bonkers. We're about a quarter of the way through the season, and a number 8 hitter has a shot at 90 ribbies. Are you kidding me? Yes, I know the Rays are killing everybody, but still. Josh Lowe, by the way, this is a player with pedigree. He had the prospect tag. This is actually his 3rd MLB season. Now, he did not play a full season in year 1. He did not play a full season in year 2. But his first 2 go-rounds in the major leagues were rough. And I think everybody looked at him and said, why is this guy important? Why are people telling me he's good? This year, he's performing like it. Again, 25 ribbies. Here are the other numbers. His OPS is over 1,000. He is hitting 315. His OBP is 370. His slug is almost 640. Now, Josh Lowe always has had strikeout issues, even in the minor leagues when he had that prospect tag. Check this out. His first 111 plate appearances this year, 24 strikeouts. Last year, in 198 plate appearances, 66 whiffs. That's a massive number. You cannot succeed with that number. But you can succeed with 24 strikeouts and 111 plate appearances. So we're seeing it. It's happening for Josh Lowe. And he went undrafted in a lot of places in fantasy leagues, but if you've picked him up, you are no doubt celebrating. Tonight, the Rays are up against the Yankees again, 7:05. For the Yankees, Garrett Cole is pitching. We all know Garrett Cole makes like, I don't know, $25 million. He is up against the opener tonight, a guy by the name of Trevor Kelly. Now, real quickly, let me remind you of how the Rays do it. Trevor Kelly, who is starting tonight in Yankee Stadium, taking on the $25 million arm in Garrett Cole. Trevor Kelly is on his 6th major league franchise since 2019. 6th! A 5th of the league has had their shot with Trevor Kelly. Now he's starting tonight for the first place Rays, who are now up by 9 games on the Yankees. Ugh. That's just how they do it, man. They find a way, don't they? Let's get to our 5th item that matters, also from the world of baseball. And I will admit, this may not matter to the general sports fan, but it matters to me. I love me some small ball. And we've talked about a lot of this in the preseason, in the month of April. Baseball's different. It is. There's more stolen bases. There's more action. The pace is better. It's a vast, vast improvement. We also get moments like we had yesterday in Kansas City where the Royals were trying to defeat the White Sox in the bottom of the 9th inning.
And a bunt attempt. The bunt is down, and Fermin wins the game. You can't bring the infield in that far. And school is out. And the Royals win it 4-3.
Sign me up for some squeeze play action. Valley Sports out of Kansas City providing the footage there. I love it. I love it. Sign me up. Now, I watched that game yesterday. They had about an hour rain delay. It was crappy weather. It was 2 crappy teams. But it was fun. It was enjoyable. Those last few innings were a hoot. And the squeeze play to win the game. I love that stuff. So sign me up. Again, both teams suck. It doesn't mean a thing in the grand scheme of things. I mean, the Royals are probably going to finish in last. And my goodness, with the way the White Sox are playing, they could finish in last. White Sox, by the way, 13-26. They just went 3-4 on a 7-game road trip against Cincinnati and Kansas City. Now, I get it. You're on the road. But the Reds and the Royals, you go 3-4. Now you come home, you take on Houston and Cleveland. Stick a fork in them, man. Stick a fork. And almost every single hitter is having a bad year for the Chicago White Sox. Almost every single pitcher is having a bad year. It's just a bad year all around. We thought it was Tony La Russa last year. Maybe it's just the guys in that club. I made this comment to a buddy of mine because we were watching that game yesterday and we were chatting. And I go, man, this White Sox team just has like no heart. They're just useless. And I'm sorry, that's probably rude. That's probably mean. That's probably unfair. But it just seems heartless from this team. There's like no energy there when you watch the White Sox. So looks like another circle the drain season for those Pale Hose. Those are the 5 things that do matter for today. When we return, I will give you 5 things that will matter as you go through your Friday. First, though, let's go with On the Mark, who is talking more about the Nuggets and the Suns.
As you wake up on this Friday morning, you do know this. The Denver Nuggets are heading to the Western Conference Finals, and Mark Jackson can apologize only once, but how exactly was Nikola Jokic ever left off his top 5 voting when he looked at the MVP during the course of the regular season? I get it was a mistake. That is a bad mistake. With that being said, you look at the Phoenix Suns, and I think they've also got an organizational issue. Listen, Monty Williams is a heck of a head coach. There's no doubt about it, but they've been eliminated now in 2 successive postseasons. Last year by the Dallas Mavericks, who led at one point in time in that game by 46 points and ended up winning the game 123-90. This year, they get eliminated by the Denver Nuggets last night. I know no Chris Paul. I know no DeAndre Ayton still. Devin Booker was there, and Kevin Durant was there, and they win that game 125-100, and the game wasn't really even particularly close. So the Suns have got a little bit of an identity issue when it comes to finding a way in the playoffs, because you don't make the move that they made and give up the capital, whether it be player assets or whether it be draft assets, in order to get Kevin Durant from the Brooklyn Nets to fall apart the way they did once again for yet another postseason. But kudos to Mike Malone. Kudos to Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, who played under the weather last night in the Denver Nuggets. They were the best team in the Western Conference during the regular season. Everybody and their mother wanted to pick anybody else but the Denver Nuggets, and here they are in the Western Conference Finals. Make sure to check out the comments below for a special offer from our friends at Fantasy Alarm.
Welcome back to the 5-Pack. Next up, the 5 things that will matter. Here's Kyle Elfrink.
Yes, indeed. We'll be starting off with a little NFL schedule news. Before that, though, speaking of the NFL schedule being out, our friends at Fantasy Alarm, if you go to fantasyalarm.com right now, they are already getting you set for 2023. They've been doing best ball stuff now for a couple of months. Now they'll start to turn their attention to just your regular redraft leagues, your keeper leagues, your dynasty leagues. That, in addition to all the baseball, all the golf, the NASCAR, the hockey, the soccer, it's all there at fantasyalarm.com. And right now, if you go over there, fantasyalarm.com, you can use the promo code ALARM50, ALARM50, ALARM50. And when you use that, you will get 50% off your first 6 months at Fantasy Alarm. Full access as well to all the sports that you care about through these summer months. And that will almost take you to the end of the season, by the way. Almost to the end of the calendar, by the way, that 50% off. Okay, so check it out at fantasyalarm.com. Moving along, we go now to our 5 things that will matter. And we're not done with that NFL schedule. No, sirree, because it's one thing to get the schedule. Now that we have the schedule, we can start thinking about making money with the schedule, right? It's time to get some odds, right? Some wagers. Who doesn't love wagering about week 1 of the NFL season on May 12th? We all love that, right? I mean, it's less than 4 months away. September 10th is the first Sunday of the NFL season. Heather Klein, flash up week 1 odds. They are out, people. We got spreads, we got over-unders, we got it all. Now, on this page, I'll tell you this, there are a couple of bets I like. That Thursday night game, Detroit, Kansas City, Chiefs favored by 6.5, give me the Chiefs. I get it. Everybody's in on the Lions. I get it. But I don't think I'm going to be in on the Lions for week 1 at Arrowhead. Sorry, I'm not. Jared Goff's going to get eaten alive, just like he usually does on the road. So give me the Chiefs to cover that 6.5. Another one I like on this page, the Titans at New Orleans. Tennessee is plus 150. The reason I like the Titans here, it's week 1. So fingers crossed, you hope Derrick Henry's going to be healthy, right? Going full throttle. You're probably going to have Ryan Tannehill under center. They'll be fine on the road at New Orleans. New Orleans does not scare me. New Orleans does not have any weapons. They don't have much of a defense. I love that. Plus 150, sign me up for the Titans. Now on page 2, there's at least one week 1 bet that I like, and it's that Green Bay-Chicago game. It's the over-under at 41.5. Give me that under. Give me all that under. Packers are pretty good defensively. Bears are pretty good defensively. You're going to have Jordan Love against Justin Fields. Give me the under. Just give me the under. That's what I'm going to go with. Now, maybe Fields and the Bears go off, but we rarely saw that last season. And Jordan Love, in effect, making his first NFL start. I'm not there. So I like the under on that Bears-Chicago game. Now, the other thing we get with the schedule is Super Bowl odds are out. So if you go over to DraftKings.com right now, you can see the Super Bowl odds, and I think we've got these for you. Here are the current odds. At the top, you see the Chiefs plus 600, Philly at plus 800. It's very lazy, but that's what we see every year. Who was in the Super Bowl last year? Well, the top 2. I'll just remind you, like the Rams were number 2 or number 3 at this point last year. So I want it to be known that what you're looking at is going to look silly. Seriously, in like 6 months. It is. So I know everybody's Kansas City, Philadelphia, Kansas City, Philadelphia. Okay, I get it, but these are silly. I'll give you a few long shots. Cincinnati plus 1,100, boom. Chargers at plus 2,800, absolutely. And then way down the board, you see the Denver Broncos, 4,000. Here's the bet on the Broncos. They have a ton of talent on offense. They got a coach that everybody thinks is one of the top, 5 coaches in the NFL. I don't, but everybody else does. And then they have Russell Wilson, who, according to everybody, is probably going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. He was dreadful last season. But at plus 4,000, why not throw a few bucks on the Denver Broncos? Betting on Sean Payton, betting on Russell Wilson. One last thing on odds, win totals. Now, these will fluctuate a bit in the coming months, but there are a few I like. I talked about Atlanta earlier. You see their over-under is 8.5. Give me the over. Man, I'm becoming Mr. Falcon this year. Chicago at 7.5. The NFC North is not all that great. Green Bay is going to be down. Figure that Minnesota is going to be a bit down. Detroit's everybody's darling. Maybe they're good, maybe not. I think Chicago's a little bit better too. I think that 7.5, I like the over there. Green Bay, give me the under on the 7.5. I think it's going to be a rough year one for Jordan Love. And then on page 2, there's a couple of other ones here. The Jets at over 9.5 all day, every day. Absolutely all day, every day. Now, you're not going to get much money on that, but the Jets are like the 6th or 7th pick for the Super Bowl. And here we have a 9.5 win total, so I'm all in on that. And then Tampa Bay. I think Tampa is one of the worst teams in football, like one of the bottom 3, I guess, in football. I'll take the under on the Buccaneers at 6.5 victories. So we get to start playing the odds game. And like I said, who doesn't enjoy playing the odds game in mid-May? Put your money down now and wait and wait and wait for like 4 months, 5 months. That's the thing with the win totals. I guess you could maybe gain an edge in terms of your payoff and what the wagering odds are. But seriously, you're locking up money for like the next 8 months. That's not really a good investment, even if you know what you're doing. To say, you know what, I'm not going to get to touch this money for 8 months on those over-unders for win totals. So some people love that stuff. To me, it's kind of throwing money to people and you don't get to touch it it doesn't sound very smart. Hell, you throw it in a bank, you can touch it tomorrow and make a penny. So I'm not that big on the win total over-unders. Let's go to our second item that will matter. We talked yesterday about Anthony Davis. Will he or won't he be available for Game 6? Remember, he was dealing with what many thought would be a concussion protocol situation. Well, we got good news yesterday, courtesy of Lakers coach Darvin Ham.
We checked in with him and, he's feeling great. Our medical staff, they gave us a great update, and he's not in the protocol. He's not showing any signs of anything, and he'll be listed as probable tomorrow.
Obviously, how big of a relief is that for you considering the hit? I'm sure you've seen it now probably more than once, that he's going to be all right.
It's huge. He's the centerpiece of what we're trying to do on both sides of the ball, and for us, just in general, our success rate. So that was great news.
Darvin Ham there, press conference before Game 6, which will be played tonight. ESPN has the coverage 10 o'clock. Now, Golden State's favored by 2.5. Again, it sounds like Davis is back. For Golden State, there is a player listed as questionable. It's one of their starters, but it's not Curry, it's not Thompson, it's not Green. It's Andrew Wiggins listed as questionable. We got the news yesterday that he is dealing with a cartilage fracture in his ribs. So he is questionable. It's kind of a pain tolerance thing. I wouldn't be surprised if they just kind of quote unquote shoot him up. So we'll see if Wiggins is out there, but he's probably a bigger injury risk than is Anthony Davis right now. Again, 10 p.m. tonight, ESPN with the coverage, and Golden State favored by 2.5. That's on the road that Golden State is favored by 2.5. I think they won 11 games on the road all season long. Let's go to the NHL playoffs for our third item that will matter. We're back in action between the Oilers and the Knights. Game 5 between Las Vegas and Edmonton. Going to be in the City of Sin this evening. Let's see. Start time is at 10 o'clock. You can catch that on TNT. So if you're a hoops guy, you're probably watching Lakers Warriors. If you're a hockey guy, You're watching Oilers and Knights. What you won't see if you're watching that hockey game tonight is you're not going to see Alex Pietrangelo, defenseman for the Knights, and you're not going to see Darnell Nurse, defenseman for the Oilers. Both these guys were suspended for this Game 5. Now, Pietrangelo, I got to admit, absolutely deserves a suspension. In effect, with about 4 minutes left in the game the other night, he took a two-handed whack at Leon Draisaitl. The game was mostly decided. I think it was a 5-1 lead for the Knights at that point. And Pietrangelo, in effect, is trying to knock Draisaitl out for the rest of the playoffs. Really, that's what he's doing. Draisaitl's fine, but Pietrangelo, two-handed slash. So they suspend him for a game. Bravo, do that. Darnell Nurse is suspended because of a rule violation. The NHL has a rule that in the final 5 minutes of a playoff game, if you get an instigation penalty, kind of starting a fight, you're suspended for a game. They don't want fighting in the playoffs, and they don't want it at the end of games that are decided. So Nurse got that with a little under 2 minutes to go. It was after the Pietrangelo slashing. That Pietrangelo slashing kind of ratcheted up the temperature of that Game 4 and certainly ratcheted up the intensity between these two teams. So Nurse gets the suspension because of the rule violation. Pietrangelo gets it because of the slashing. It was done with intent. Mention the start time tonight, 10 o'clock in Vegas. Vegas actually a slight underdog in this game. They are listed at plus 110, and the Oilers are at minus 130. Let's go to our fourth item that will matter for tonight. Back to the world of baseball. We have another high-end rookie debut. Going to be taking place in Miami tonight. On the hill for the Marlins will be one of the top 10 prospects in all of baseball, and probably the best pitching prospect that we've yet to see at the majors. Guy by the name of Eury Perez is set to make his debut tonight for the Marlins. I say a guy by the name of, I should say a kid by the name of Eury Perez. Eury Perez, less than a month ago, was 19 years old. He's now 20, but he turned 20 like 4 weeks ago. He's a very, very young dude. He's a very, very tall dude, too. You might be able to tell it from this photo. 6'8" on Eury Perez. Now, here's what we're dealing with. Prospect stuff, it's awesome. I mean, fastball can hit 100. Got a great change, great slider, like all that stuff that you want. Okay, he's got the stuff. His control's pretty good. It is worth noting he has never thrown a pitch above AA. He has thrown under 190 minor league innings. He was shut down at the end of last year. He had a bit of an injury in 2021. Now, this is just laying out the fact, a reminder, if you will, that not everything can be smooth sailing. Like, congrats, you made it to the major leagues. Doesn't mean that you're totally there. There's still a lot to work on. Now, he's up against Cincinnati tonight. You can catch the first pitch at 6:40. Here's probably what you need to know. If you're somebody, we're talking about wagering and all that stuff. Eury Perez probably sticks with this Marlins team. They need him. Right now, they're 19-19, which doesn't sound great, but they are second place in the National League East. They're 6.5 games off the pace, I should say, of the Atlanta Braves. Braves, if you missed it over the week, they lost Max Fried. He's not going to be pitching for the next 2 months. That's not their ace, but probably their number 2, maybe even their ace if you want to drag it out and say he's better than Strider. That's a banana versus egg argument. I would say this with Perez. Odds. Right now, I was looking at the Rookie of the Year odds in the National League. He is plus 4,000 as he gets ready for his debut tonight. Right now, the leader is James Outman, who's had a good start. But I don't think James Outman is going to be a guy that just runs away with something like the Rookie of the Year, where he just puts up such fabulous numbers that nobody can catch him. James Outman hit 28 home runs and drove in 98 while hitting 305. Like, I don't see Outman as that. If Outman wins the Rookie of the Year, it's like James Outman hit 270 with 23 homers and 70 ribbies and 10 steals. Like a good year, but not like a over-the-top great year for a rookie. Whereas with Perez, what is it? May 12th. So he's missed, 7 or 8 starts. He could still make 20-plus starts, 20 to 22 starts. Let's say he wins 10 of them. Let's say he has an ERA of 2.5. Say he has an ER or whip of 1-1, strikes out 10 per 9. That's all doable. I'm not predicting it, but it's doable. Right now, he's plus 4,000 to win the Rookie of the Year. Sign me up, man. Sign me up. Plus 4,000 as we get ready for the debut. If you're looking at more immediate bets, the Marlins are minus 140 on the money line tonight. Again, they're hosting Cincinnati. You get the Reds out of Cincinnati, and they're not much of a challenge. So the minus 140 there. There is not a prop, at least at last check. I did not see a prop for a win tonight for Eury Perez. Also didn't see a prop for outs. I did see a prop for strikeouts. The over-under is 4.5, and there's a lot of juice to the over on that. So that was the only prop I saw. Maybe as we get later in the day, we'll see some more. But again, 640 tonight. Eury Perez debuting, best pitching prospect probably right now in baseball, top 10 overall. So do catch that. Finally, we'll go a little long here. I think it deserves a little length. Debuting today in theaters in New York, in theaters in Los Angeles, and then for the rest of us, including me, probably making its way to theaters around us in a week or two. We got a new documentary, and for baseball fans, it's one you're going to care about. The documentary is about Yogi Berra. Yes, Yogi Berra, a documentary. This is like a real doc. It's going to be out in theaters. I thought we would give you a taste of the documentary, shall we? It is called It Ain't Over. Obviously playing on a Yogiism there. So let's take a look. Here's the official trailer for the new Yogi Berra documentary that is out today in select theaters.
The 2015 All-Star Game features the 4 greatest living baseball players. Hank Aaron, Johnny Bench, Sandy Koufax, and Willie Mays, who are all absolutely amazing players in their own right. But I'm in the room sitting next to my grandfather, Yogi Berra. And I'm thinking, wait a second. He's got more MVPs than any of these guys. He's won more World Series rings than all 4 of them combined. And I look at him and I said, "Are you dead?" And he said, "Not yet."
One of the greatest World Series resumes of any player ever.
Hey, he got it done. He was a winner because he had all the rings to prove it.
He's the figure that was larger than life.
There's no Jackie without the acceptance of Yogi Berra.
When Yogi comes to the team, they say he doesn't look like a Yankee.
He wasn't 6'3" with blonde hair. Everything about him was kind of funny.
He was a character. He was made fun of in the New York press.
But that sort of became who Yogi Berra was, this funny little guy.
That's right.
Yogi Berra.
I don't think Yogi liked it too much.
The Yogiisms. Let's talk about the Yogiisms.
He says nobody goes to that restaurant anymore. It's too crowded.
When you get to a fork in the road, take it. What?
And it ain't over till it's over.
It makes a lot of sense.
That personality of his actually served to take away from his legacy as a baseball player.
It always felt wrong. It's not fair to him.
He's just a gentle, kind soul.
He was loved by so many people in this country.
Total respect for Yogi. A guy that everybody loved, not because he was cute and funny, it's because he was good and he was real.
He was the most overlooked superstar in the history of baseball.
So there you go, opening in LA and New York today. Today, by the way, May 12th, would have been Yogi Berra's 98th birthday. So that worked out well. The movie comes out on the same day of his 98th birthday. Of course, Yogi passing away a few years ago. But certainly for you baseball fans, give it a little pub, give it a little watch. Hopefully you can enjoy it. What they say is very true, too. Yogi Berra is kind of seen as a caricature. Like that name conjures up funny, laughable, Aflac commercials. Gosh, I almost sounded like the Aflac duck there. That's what it conjures up for a lot of people. So maybe this documentary will set the record straight, if you will. I mean, if you know baseball, you know Yogi Berra has the stats, has the numbers. So something worth following if you can get your hands on it, get your eyes on it, I should say, as we go through these spring months. Okay, those are the 5 things that do matter for today. When we return here on the 5-pack, it is time to open up our 1988 Donruss Rack Pack. I probably will start on the end here. So we'll get the scissors out, cut it open, And we'll see where the pack takes us. We'll do it next on the Better Sports Network.
The current NBA landscape could change as soon as this weekend. The Los Angeles Lakers have the opportunity this weekend to end the Golden State Warrior dynasty, the NBA dynasty of our generation. Now, I understand that the Golden State Warriors have been in this spot before, and we've seen Game 6 Clay show up with remarkable performances. And that could happen again this weekend. But there seems to be a sense that LeBron James and this JV Laker team is going to be the team that ends the Golden State Warrior dynasty. And you know what? I actually think they will have a chance to do it, and I think it's a pretty good chance. Here will be the most interesting thing. LeBron James, who basically the knock against him is how many championships he lost to the Golden State Warriors. Can you imagine that how fitting it would be if he is the one to end the Warrior dynasty? Curious of your comments. While you're down there in the comments, check out a special offer from our friends at Fantasy Alone.
Time now for the Daily Pack Rip on the 5-Pack with Kyle Elfrink.
Welcome me back into the 5-Pack here on the Better Sports Network. Won't be here Saturday or Sunday, but we'll be right back here on Monday coming up at 12 o'clock Eastern. Right now is your final chance to qualify to win this Michael Jordan 1992 Upper Deck card, checklist card. It was an all-star checklist, by the way. So there's all your all-stars. You got Jordan, classic Jordan photos. So you're going to want that. Jordan in his prime, I guess you could say, in 1992. So we will be giving this away. All you have to do is retweet our pack rip and you are good to go. And I think we'll do a drawing here sometime off air and then get in touch with you over the weekend and get that card sent out. So if you'd like to take a shot, totally free, card's worth something. We will send it your way if you are the lucky name that is chosen. Today in our pack rip, we are ripping open a portion of our value pack. We're going to go with the 1988 Donruss, which I did not know this until I was looking up some information today. If you bought 1988 Donruss in a wax pack or even in these cellophane wax pack, if you bought them this way, see the border? I've talked about this border before. It's pretty ugly, pretty boring, all that stuff. Black, blue, red. That's all it is. I think it's supposed to be like, the box seats. You'd have the poles in between. So that's kind of what it's referencing. But if you bought a wax pack of this, it would come oriented like this, with the red at the top, just that orientation of the border. If you buy a factory set of 1988 Donruss, you are going to see the border of these cards orientated differently. Going to be in a different direction. So it's a very minor thing, but it's something that can make it unique. You can mesmerize your friends and co-workers with that superior 1988 Donruss knowledge. You'll be able to look at a card and say, oh, that came from a wax pack. Oh, no, that's from a factory set. Now, if you're wondering, is one type of card worth more than the other? They're not. It's 1988 Donruss. There's nothing worth money in here. 87, like literally for those who weren't around, 84, 85, 86, 87 Donruss, those things are worth money. And they were very rare. Like, I don't want to say it was hard to find a Donruss baseball pack, but they weren't really on normal supermarket shelves. Once 88 came around, these things started popping up everywhere. Like, they increased the print run like crazy. Donruss was also very famous for their rated rookies. Probably their most famous one would be the 86. 86 Jose Canseco was a rated rookie. There are rated rookies in this set, but I was looking at the checklist of the rated rookies. Here are the names we got: Mackie Sasser, Jeff Treadway, Lance Johnson, speedy outfielder. Roberto Alomar is on here. That card's probably worth the most. You got Jose Lind, Kurt Manwaring, Al Leiter, Gary Thurman, Vicente Palacios, Jack McDowell, and others are the rated rookies in this set. Like I said, not a whole lot there. Let's get things started off with the first card in our set. It was actually the top card in the cellophane pack. We'll start with Kelly Gruber, slugging third baseman for the Toronto Blue Jays. Blue Jays were pretty darn good from about 88 to 93. Kelly Gruber was their third baseman. You see down here, he's just an infielder. This would have been, I guess his first full season was 87, played about 140 games. Before that, he'd played 15 games in 84, 5 in 85, 87 and 86. then got 138 games in 87. So he was just coming into his own at this point. Mike Scott was already a star pitcher by the time this set came out, I should say. Mike Scott was your Cy Young Award winner in 1986. He went, what's the record here? 18-10 in 86. He threw 275 innings, had a 2.22 ERA. That was 86. In 87, his ERA went up a full run. He only threw 248 innings, and he went 16-13. He was a guy who resurrected his career. He was like finished. But then he discovered one of two things. He would tell you he discovered the split-fingered fastball, and that turned him into something else. Opponents would say that Mike Scott had learned how to scuff the baseball or alter the baseball and become a great pitcher. We'll see. Back in the day, it was the split finger. Since then, people said, no, that guy was screwing with the baseball. Baseball was doing stuff that even a split finger fastball doesn't do. So who knows? But we are in the interest of giving you both sides of the story. We are also in the interest of telling you about guys like Tim Newell. I wish I could tell you something about Tim Newell. He spent his first 2 minor league seasons as an outfielder. Oh, here's a good tidbit. See, on Donruss, they always had tidbits on the back. Here's a good one for Tim Newell. Tim once struck out 19 batters in a high school game. I've always felt that even if you're Tim Newell, if you make it to the big leagues, like you get your own card, I always feel like you should have absolutely, thoroughly, completely, utterly dominated in high school. So good to see Tim Newell actually did. Tom Newell. I keep calling him Tom Newell. How dare I? 19 strikeouts in a high school game. Chris Brown had some issues off the field, but a decent player. Those issues off the field kind of knocked him down a few steps. Let's see. Al Pedrique. There's something about Al Pedrique that just screams he is going to slice meat at a deli. Right? Isn't this the guy who takes the big stick of bologna out of the cooler and starts slicing it? So how thick you want this bologna? Well, Al, why don't you give me a 1/4 inch on that bologna? You got it. Thanks for coming to Al Pedrique's supermarket. Kind of being rude to Al Pedrique, aren't I? I don't know. He just looks like a guy. Maybe I look like a guy who cuts meat. I don't know. Mike Aldretti, mainly a pinch hitter. Seems, it's very funny with all these packs that we open up. We get a lot of outfielders, and the only good thing I can say about him is pinch hitter, 4th outfielder. Mike Aldretti's one of those guys, but he was a left-handed guy, so he would get out there, kind of the platoon splits. The other day we got this guy. We'll get him again, Glenn Bragg. So there's another guy, 4th outfielder with the Milwaukee Brewers. Glenn Bragg didn't do a whole lot. Let's see what his career highlights are. Did he dominate in high school? No high school numbers for Glenn Bragg, but he hung around for a few years. El Cid. Oh, El Cid. I remember back in the day when I was a child, that when you said, oh, wow, that guy's a fat dude. Sid Fernandez was your fat baseball player. Sid Fernandez was the precursor to Bartolo Colon. You know how most people laugh about Bartolo Colon, how heavy set he is. El Cid is what they called him. Now, let me see on the back of this card. On the back of the card, you'll see 6'1", 205. But back in the 80s, 205, big boy. I think he was more around the 220 level, and he kind of fluctuated. He kind of went through the Oprah diet from time to time. Sid Fernandez. Certainly, if you're a Mets fan of the 80s, you love Sid Fernandez. Mike Brumley. Mike Brumley, you probably can't tell it on this card, but he looks like he just got done with a very intense BP session. And he's like glowing with sweat there. Mike Brumley. There's a photo at Old Shea Stadium. It's crazy. I'm almost embarrassed that I can look at the back of these stadiums from 45 years ago, 35 years ago, and know what stadium it is. For instance, the back of this rated rookie is at Cleveland's Memorial Stadium, place that set 80,000 people if they opened up the whole thing. Browns played there, Indians played there, and I guess for a while John Farrell played there. Now, John Farrell he was the coach, right, for Boston, John Farrell, head coach. Here he is as a pitcher with the Cleveland Indians, John Farrell. Maybe it was Toronto. He bounced around as a manager, but a rated rookie. He did not do much in his career. So you don't have to worry much about John Farrell. John Edward Farrell. Ken Phelps. Now, Ken Phelps is not wearing his very famous glasses here. He used to wear glasses as if, if you were taking a history exam, Ken Phelps would have been your teacher with his glasses. Here, he's just got the eye black. I think Ken Phelps had maybe gotten tired of people mocking him about his accountant glasses. So he said, you know what? I'm going to take these glasses off. I'm going to get contacts, and I'm going eye black. From now on, people are going to know Kenny Phelps as the eye black wearing pinch hitter for the Seattle Mariners. That's what he probably thought. It did not save his career. He didn't last much longer. He had a decent career in the 80s, but didn't last much longer. We go from one guy who is doing the, hey, kids, one knee on the ground, look at the camera, to another guy who is doing the, hey, kids, one knee on the ground, look at the camera, Lloyd Moseby. Now, Lloyd Moseby was a legit ball player, not a fourth outfielder. Lloyd Moseby was a part of those outfields that include Barfield, George Bell. Lloyd Moseby, believe, was the center fielder for the Toronto Blue Jays. Had some very solid years. He could steal a base. I mean, starting in 83, Lloyd Moseby, 26. These are stolen base totals. 26, 39, 37, 32, 39. So good stuff for Lloyd Anthony Moseby. Oh, by the way, Lloyd Anthony Moseby, today I did see this, is National Anthony Day. Now, I don't know if that counts for a guy whose middle name is Anthony, but certainly Anthony Davis, who's set to play tonight, counts for him. We'll count it for Lloyd Anthony Moseby. Man, seemingly every pack I open, this guy shows up. I'm not kidding. If you've watched the 5-pack each and every day, Tom Berdansky's in like literally every pack. I'm going to make the claim right now. This is the most overproduced ball player of the late 80s and early 90s. Literally every pack, Tom Berdansky. Kevin Gross of the Philadelphia Phillies, there at the old vet, that old Phillies insignia. Kevin Gross was supposed to be something, never really became something. And then here's a guy who, when you say his name in my neck of the woods, Gary Templeton, you think of one thing, two things. You think of the fact that, hey, we traded Gary Templeton from the Cardinals to the Padres, and we got Ozzie Smith. That's one thing you think. And then the other item you think of is Gary Templeton pretty well talked himself out of St. Louis by flicking off the fans. I think it happened in 81, maybe 80. Gary Templeton, pretty good player with the Cardinals, and actually did decent with San Diego. But there was a very famous moment, I think it was in 81, where Gary Templeton made an error or made another out. I can't recall what it was. But Gary Templeton was booed off the field by the St. Louis Cardinal fans. And as he was being booed off the field, he decided to flick them all off. Give him the middle finger. And when Whitey Herzog, the Cardinals manager, saw that, he immediately bounded onto the field, grabbed him by both arms, and threw him in the dugout. Literally, that's what he did. And that was the end of Gary Templeton with Cardinals. And they turned it into a Hall of Famer in Ozzie Smith. So there you go. 15 cards. Pretty good set. We got stories on Gary Templeton. Got a decent story on Lloyd Moseby celebrating National Anthony Day. We made fun of Kenny Phelps, which is always worth doing. We talked about the weight gain of Sid Fernandez. We got a rated rookie that barely should be rated. What else did we get here? Mike Scott, Kelly Gruber. We learned about Tom Newell. Let me give Tom another shout out because nobody's giving Tom Newell decades. So Tom, shout out to you. Have a great weekend, okay? Everybody else have a great weekend too. It's been fun this week. We are back on Monday at 12 Eastern. Thanks to our producer, Heather Klein. Thanks to you as well. We'll catch you next week right here on the Better Sports Network.